Thank you for coming. Welcome to everybody, our friends around the world. And this is the second in a three-part repeating series of what we're calling core trainings. And you know this because you're here.
Yeah, no.
Core trainings that of the very most basic practices of Zen peacemakers. So these three offerings are Introduction to Meditation, Introduction to Counsel, and Introduction to the Three Tenets. And you are welcome to come to these as often as you'd like. You can repeat the same one over and over again. We will offer them every 3 months. They'll repeat again. So the next one coming up in a month will be Introduction to the Three Tenets. So I don't want to use up all the time here, and I want to. One more person coming in. I want to sincerely thank my friend Roshi Barbara Wegmüller from Switzerland, who will take us into Introduction to Counsel today. And I will say Barbara has been leading counsel in Zen Peacemakers for a very long time, most notably at Auschwitz, which is really our signature Zen Peacemakers retreat that we do every year. We'll be doing again at the end of October this year. So again, without taking any more time, I'm going to say thank you to everybody, and I'll pass this over to my friend Barbara. Barbara, thank you.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Wonderful, and I really appreciate the invitation to share about the practice of counsel, which is very important for myself. So, friends, wonderful seeing you. Thank you for your interest to learn about this wonderful practice of counsel. So you may be in the morning, some of you may have lunchtime now, and I am here in Bern in the evening hour after a sunny day here in Switzerland. It was a very hot day, hot summer day. So welcome. Please let us start with a moment of silence first. I invite you just to be silent and maybe to focus on your listening. Yeah. Before I will share with you my experiences of counsel practice, I would like to thank all those whom I was able to learn from, to listen deeply and to speak from my heart. To all the people who have practiced this way of deep listening for centuries, who use this practice still in many, many native places. I feel gratitude to John Halifax, to Jack Zimmerman and Virginia Cole, who founded the Ojai Foundation, where counsel is taught, and who wrote a wonderful book about it. The title of this book is The Way of Counsel, if you are interested. It's a really wonderful book to learn the deep listening and the deep sharing from the heart practice. I want to thank also to all my trainers, to Bernie Glassman, who invited me to trainings with Sensei Teju Corbett, to Susan Knittel, Margie Gregory, Roshi Fleet Mall, and to Jared Zeit, who is working in the Center of Counsel, also teaching this wonderful practice. And I thank all the people who have sat in circles with me for more than 24 years now. And from them, I could learn very, very much from sitting with them in circles and doing counsel. I also thank my husband, Roland, and our 5 grown-up children for allowing us to practice counsel in the family. My thanks also go to my parents who let me experience a lot of time in the nature, where I could be in our garden, listening to the sounds of insects. And they brought me also in the Swiss mountains, where the winter with a lot of snow was very, very silent and very, very quiet. So I learned to be in this space and appreciate silence very, very much. Listening is a practice of going deep in our own quietness and in our silence. Listening always starts with silence. Only from this place, listening is possible, I think. Since time immemorial, people have always gathered around fire to warm themselves and watch the flames and to exchange ideas and telling stories. In many native peoples, they still done it. In some cultures, there are sacred places to this ritual where they meet extra for sharing the silence together and also for sharing what is alive in their hearts. In our practice, we create for our counsel exchange a circle. When we meet in person, we do a round with chairs or cushions. And we put in the middle of the circle a pretty cloth, always with a candle, with a big one like this one. Because this is our fire. Around this center, we meet, and all participants can place an object that is supportive or important for them. Often these are objects from nature that connect us with our primal ground, with Mother Earth. It can be a mala. It can be something just of value for the participant. We can also use these objects later as a conversation piece when it is our turn to speak and we are empowered to speak. When we sit in the circle, we often give this object around. Like I have now this stick where I did the sound at my bell, and for today I will use this stick as my talking piece. It helps always to ground us if we have a talking piece in our hand. The counsel practice is a spiritual practice in the community of the Zen peacemakers. As a facilitator of the circle, we are responsible to hold a safe container for all people in the circle. It is always good to have also a co-facilitator to serve the energy of the group. The facilitator will announce the rules at the beginning of each council meeting and make sure that they are followed during the council. These rules apply as soon as we lighten the candle, the fire in our middle. We listen carefully. We listen with our whole heart. We listen with our whole body. And we want to be fully present in listening. We try to listen from the chest region. So therefore, it's very good also to hold the hand on our chest to feel where we want to listen from. When we speak, we first listen to what is alive in our heart and what is there to be shared. We listen to the essence and share it. We let ourselves be surprised what our hearts want to say. We never give talks and we speak only in message. In iMessage, only from myself and not about other people, or I will not go in a conversation. I will just really listen and speak then from my own heart in my I statement. We talk as long as necessary and as short as possible. That means we drop really to the essence of what is there. And the shortness helps us not to go lost in some stories which do not belong to this very moment, because speaking from the heart is always about this very moment. What is alive right now in my heart? We can feel safe because everyone in the circle makes a binding commitment that everything heard remains in the circle. And therefore, confidentiality is guaranteed. If this trust were broken, it would be a deep violation of the spiritual practice. So really, when we step out of the circle, it's clear that everything that we heard will stay there. And so we can be safe also in what we want to share, that it is only for this very moment. Sometimes if we are in a circle which is very intimate, connected, and meets often, sometimes we hear something from a friend and we feel turned to ask this person afterwards or to share something similar that we experienced. But in a case like that, we would always ask the person, is it okay for you that I come back to what you said in this, what you shared in the circle? And this person is completely free to say, no, I don't want to speak about, because it was okay for me to share it in the circle in this moment. And if it is okay, the person can say, yes, let's talk about. But it's very important always to ask if we want to come back, because we never go in conversations during the time in the circle. So we don't give answers. And we also don't say that this and this person said this and this, or because you said this, I say now this. But of course, if we are deeply listening, we always feel what we heard as a part of ourselves in a way. It touches us deeply because we share the soul of the group when we really share from the heart. And therefore, if I hear something when I listened the person before me, what I could say is, because I heard such and such, now I feel very connected in something that is raised in my heart, and I share it like that. But I would never say, because Susie said that, I say now this, because that would be too close to go in a conversation. So the practice is really that we are just listening. We are sitting and listen to voices where maybe we would not agree if we would hear that in another situation. Maybe in another situation we would want to respond and to say something. But the counsel practice teaches us really to sit with whatever we hear, and we try not to think about, and we say we don't think over the fire. I will later express the deeper meaning of that. So we will not think over the candle, and we are just listening from our heart and enjoying this experience, which is a complete different experience that we usually have in conversations. As a Zen peacemaker, we make counsel in all bearing witness retreats. At the retreat in Auschwitz, in small groups of 10 participants, we meet every morning. Also in these retreats in South Dakota with the Lakota hosts, in Rwanda and in Bosnia, and also in street retreats, the practice of counsel is standard for us. In these retreats, we hear often very, very different opinions and voices, of course, from victims, from children of perpetrators, of grandchildren of victims and perpetrators. And so the practice of just sitting there and listening is a gift for the speakers, for the ones who share, but also for ourselves, because we really learn what it means to be in the not knowing and just to listen about the stories in life, what happens around us and in our own lives. When we start the counsel, we always invite also helpful energies, or we invite people we think about, loved ones, or people we know that they are in need, to join us. And then we just imagine these people, and we can name their names, and we invite them just to be with us in their energies. And we can also invite supportive energies, whatever we want. And at the end of the council, we always do a dedication, because we never practice only for ourselves, but always for the benefit of all sentient beings. So this start in the practice, in the council, is really raising our awareness that this is a spiritual practice. And also when we end it like this, it's a good reminder to know it is like a prayer, a sacred moment in our life that we can share in a group. I did a lot of counsel in my life, and I must say that it completely changed my way to listen also in other directions in a way. That I listen much deeper when I'm walking in the woods. I listen to the earth, I listen to the nature. And this deep listening is itself a wonderful spiritual practice. So it helps us. It helps us not only with being in the family or with friends and in practice, in groups and in the work. It really helps us to be more present and to really enjoy much more our every moment of our life. I had the chance to work in schools with teachers and parents, in interreligious groups, in retreats. As a Zen teacher, I always do silent retreats, but I add in the day where we are silent 2 hours at least, where we share out of the silence council practice, where we share together, and then we go back in the quiet space, which is a wonderful way to practice. I deeply trust this practice of counsel. Through listening, I learned that the heart wisdom is not dependent on education and status. I learned to marvel at people's confidence to go on despite dramas and difficulties, and to find the courage in sharing and listening. I learned in listening respect, humility, and wonder of the diversity and the beauty of every human being. When I became a student of Bernie, I learned about the practice of the council, but it felt immediately very familiar also. It seemed very natural to me, the way of speaking and listening from the heart. As a mother and grandmother, I am convinced that I learned the deepest listening by listening to little beings and connecting intuitively with them before they have even words, before they get speech. How do babies express themselves when they need something? How do I, as a mother, know what it needs? Warm, intimate closeness, or food, or rest, or activity, or inspiration, safety. There I hear deeper than words. You know this all. Maybe you have a cat or a dog living with you. You communicate, you listen carefully and intimate because you are present and aware. And this is how we are in council. For me, that's also the mystery of counsel. Can I hear behind the words? Can I really listen deeply? The heartbeat of the person in that moment. Do I perceive the moment where in the silence between the words, our connection is complete? In counsel, people can also be silent, because sometimes when this talking piece comes to me, it may be that my heart is very quiet, and so that I will not find the words to share. And in a moment like that, it's completely okay also just to be there, to hold the talking piece, and to listen deeply if something will come, and the audience will share my silence and listen to it. And my experience is that listening to the silence of different people, this is really wonderful, because every silence of a person is different. And very often we can even hear behind the silence some very important story. Only in being connected, giving the time, being there for each other, and being fully present. To get the gift, to be heard, is one of the biggest gifts, I think. So often in life, often in partnership, often in families, we don't feel heard. Even we share something, we have the feeling that it didn't arrive what we wanted to communicate. And in counsel, this is maybe the biggest gift, that we have an audience who is fully there, listening what someone is sharing. So this is really a big gift, I think. Yeah, can I even listen to my husband when he is complaining and unhappy? Can I listen also to an angry teenager? What the needs are behind maybe the words. I hear doing that, I think, is not so easy, but it helps us to take the practice really into our life and to train it, because it is a big help then to have at the end a good communication. When we started to do practice in our family, we had 5 children. They are grown up now. They had the difference in age more than 10 and 12 years. So we had these 2 teenagers and 3 smaller ones. The twins were 5-year-old when we started to do counsel. And sometimes we had quite a high level of emotions around in our family. We have 4 boys. With my husband, my daughter and I lived with 5 men. And this was quite a powerful energy. So the first rule that we had in our council, especially for the small ones, was even when we feel a lot of emotion, we don't throw the talking piece to each other's head. And if we run out because we don't want to listen anymore, we will for sure come back after a while. And so we did these councils, and it was very helpful. It was always myself who called the council in when we really had the situation which was not so easy. So I said, I, as the mother, I need now a council. And then the teenies found other people do more funny things, but we did it, and we did it with all of the children. And it was really good. So I can say that today they are adult, they are parents themselves. My daughter also did counsel with their children when they were she started when they were in the same age as we did. And they all learned to listen to the feelings and to the voices of the others. Just to listen, to give them the space, and then also to allow themselves to express their own feelings and to feel sure that we were listening to them. And so it was always like after such a council, I felt the atmosphere much clearer than it was before. So I feel very, very grateful for this practice, also for people in the family. And I would really say that it is worth to try it and to do it in your partnerships and your family. Even it may be not so easy at the beginning, but it is really helpful. And it is really helpful also to have also, especially also their clear rules, to create a safe container and to make sure that the container stays like that, and that the rule in the container is held so that really everybody can speak out the truth of this very moment, and the person will listen to it and also share about this very moment in I statement. This is so important always to think that we don't go to blame someone, but we can just share how we feel in this very moment and what is happening in ourselves. So counsel is a spiritual practice, challenging exercise in training compassion for the practice of becoming a mensch, Bernie used to say, my teacher Bernie used to say. And I think this is really true. We say counsel is a safe place to express unsafe things. And we can do it because we know there is a certain place to do that. But of course, we also know that it is in our responsibility how we express ourselves, what we will share, and the helpful way to do that is before sharing, I can ask myself, is it helpful for myself when I share this? Is it supportive for others to hear that? And will it serve the community which I share it? So this is helpful when we are not sure if we want to share something. And I think yeah, this is helpful not to speak about the children's fires where I spoke before. In the native people often said that the fire we share in around we sit is the children's fire, because what we express, whatever we express and what we do, of course, is affecting the future generations. They say it affects 7 generations, the next 7 generations. And I think that's true. And therefore, we call our candle or the fire we are sitting at the children's fire, because we know about our responsibility in everything we share. So now I think maybe you have some questions about the practice or about the training in it, or about how we do it in Zen Peacemakers. In Zen Peacemakers, we have different circles that are offered on Hive. Every week we have offerings. We have only women councils every month. We have councils with a theme. Of course, you can offer for your friends, you can do an invitation with your friends and you can do council with a theme, which is a wonderful way to share and very different from just going in normal conversations. We can do counsel even in business when we come to a point where we feel things are stuck or people are not happy, or there is something in the air like the pink elephant where everybody is feeling it, but nobody is speaking it out. This is a wonderful way to share, also to do in a council. So the possibility is here really big, and maybe you will have questions or remarks to it. So you are warmly invited now to open your mic and to do so. I see here people on the screen which are using this practice, like Koho and Anna, and maybe others also. Bernard joined recently. Good to see you, Bernard. You're welcome. And also Carla. Nice to see you.
Yes, so if anybody has a comment or a question, or you'd like Barbara to clarify anything that she shared with us, please. We're among friends here, so and we don't need to use the electronic hand. You can just wave your hand and we'll see you if you have a question or a comment. Kim, hi.
Hi from England. Thank you so much, Barbara. I really enjoyed that. It was really beautiful. Your words and listening to you is so lovely, and how you explained it. The first one is a technical question. I haven't used Hive before, so I'm a bit disorientated. I can't maximize my screen. Do you know how I do that?
You're on a computer and
on a laptop,
and you can't maximize your screen.
No, I can't see anywhere that will do it. So I can only see 4 of us, and I know there's 14.
Oh.
So maybe that's something I'll sort out away from here for next time.
Well, depending, there's on mine, Kim, there's up in the upper right-hand corner, it says view. And if you click that and you go full screen, maybe that helps. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it didn't. So that's what I would do, because that's what I thought. That makes sense. But so I'll sort that out before I, because that's part of it, isn't it? Of seeing who, of feeling part of.
See everybody.
Yeah. But it was really beautiful, and I am used to some groups like this. I belong to 12-step groups and some meditation groups who use this, but this feels like it's more. It feels more contained. And the question that I was going to have, but you answered it, was if you feel like you want to stay silent, you know, do you stay silent? So you answered that. So thank you very much. I'm definitely going to join when I can.
Thank you, Kim.
Anyone else have a question or a comment? We've got a little time here, so Berna.
Yes, I don't really know how to put this, but how personal, or how, since Miss Barbara mentioned that it's a good idea to share things that are beneficial for others too. So I'm going through a dark time, I guess. So the things that come up when, for example, I have the talking piece, tend to be kind of dark too. So, and I'm really, I'm a shy person. I have a lot of social anxiety. Today I feel a little bit better, of course. But how much should one share if the things that I have to share are kind of dark and like negative?
I mean, this is our life, Berna. And sometimes we are really at a dark place, and it's completely okay to share what is there in such a moment. And in counsel, listening to different voices, we always hear also our own voice, because we share all kinds of feeling in a human life. And so the circle can hold a lot of energies. Sometimes it's really very important, to share even our deepest sorrow and our dark sides come often up when we are really in the not knowing, you know, and this is our practice, of course, and then it comes to light, and it will change anyway. Everything will always change. This is the good news. When we are at a very bad and dark place, it will also change. The less good news is that when we are very happy, this will also change. But this is our life, and we learn it in listening to each other, and really being completely present for what is, and completely honest. And so everything has its time and place, I think. But of course, it's also, we need some trust, and therefore the safe container is so important. It's really important to, if we are part of a circle on internet or in person, that we are really confidentiality, that we hold the confidentiality very strong. This is very important. Especially because we hear, many things. Thank you for your question, Berna.
Thank you.
Thank you, Berna. Anyone else have a question or a comment, observation, or? Carla, hi. Thank you.
Hello, thank you. I work in addiction treatment centers, and we're always looking for ways in which we can bring family back together with the loved one once they've been through treatment. And I'm a Buddhist. I'm ordained with Thich Nhat Hanh Plum Village, and Sangha, like open Sangha sharing. It seems very similar to that, and that is very helpful. But would you see way of counsel being possibly helpful in this situation? And if so, what would be your thoughts on that?
I would trust this way of container, because especially in families, we have certain pattern very often where we always blame the same people and say the same thing, have the same pictures like in front of us. And if you can really create the container and be a very aware facilitator, that could be very, very helpful for the families, because you can also stop people if they don't follow the rules. And I think especially the weakest person in the circle will have the opportunity to express their own voice, which is often not possible for them, really. And so the audience has to listen to them. And this is the most important, that we hear each other. If this is in normal families like that, and especially also in families where one person shows suffering, expresses suffering. I could imagine that I would do it. I would trust it. And it's always good to have also a good trained co-facilitator with you. This is very helpful because you have another voice listening and also intervening if it is necessary. And a small hint, when I lead a council as a facilitator, I always start in telling people, if we forget the rules, I will have a little bell and I will remind all of us to the rule. And so it's not so hard then when you use the bell, because it's just the reminder to all of us in the circle. And if it is really necessary, you can ring the bell and just remind everyone to the rules. Thank you, Carla. Good luck to it.
Thanks, Carla. We have a few more minutes, everybody. If you, anything else you'd like to bring up or ask about? What a nice group we have today.
Hey, Sarah.
Hello. I would like to hear your advice about how we go around in a circle, how many times we might go around, and the difference with a popcorn or like a voluntary speaking versus in order.
Yeah, thank you for this question. I mean, when we are meeting in person, we just go around, especially for the first round. I always give the talking piece to my left person. We always go like clockwise usually. And so we just go around, and when everyone shared, I often put the talking piece in the middle of the council, and then I ask people to do popcorn. And popcorn means that the people who feel they want to share more, they can just take the talking piece up and start to speak. So not everybody has to share again. But it depends always about the time, how much time we have. I mean, when we do our regular days of reflection, which many of the Zen peacemakers do in their sanghas, we start in the morning at 9:30 and we go on until 1, and then we have lunch together. And so in this time, we first sit, then 25 minute meditation. And then we do the recitation of all the Zen Peacemaker precepts first, to reflect on these precepts in this day of reflection. And then we can feel inspired about one of the precepts and take this as the issue of our sharing, or we just share what is now alive in our heart. And we do that for sure 1 round. And then we will sit another 25 minutes in meditation, and then we go on and we do a second round in sharing. And we just do that until 1 o'clock, and then we share a meal together. So there we have a lot of time. And often in the last sharing of counsel, we do just popcorn. And this is often very quiet also. So people shared a lot, and so we sat a lot in quietness. but sometimes someone just take on the talking piece and something very important comes out again, and then others join us again. And it's always a good advice to hold these moments where nobody is sharing, and just listening to the silence of everyone. This is very, very beautiful. It's so good because it's a attentive, aware, deep listening that we offer to each other, which is very precious. So just feel free and experience your own way to do counsel. Counsel is a practice that we have to do it and to practice it. There is not a right way to do it, it's just that we have to do it in our best intention and learn about. And we always learn. Every counsel is different and every counsel is precious. So don't be afraid not to do it in the right way. Please just do it. Just do it and do it with all your love in your heart, and then it will be a wonderful gift for others. But if you want, so the book of The Way of Counsel is great. It exists also in other language. I know it exists in German for sure, but I'm sure it's also translated in other language, and it is the original from Gigi Cole and Jack. It's in English, and it's a wonderful guideline if you really want to go deep in this practice. And the best effect is that in doing counsel, in starting speaking from our heart at a certain point, it's the only way that we can speak. It will not be possible not to speak from our heart when you really do it. And this is very good for the world, I think.
Wonderful. And anyone else have we're just getting down close to the end of our time, but anyone else have a question or a comment? I do want to say, and again, thank you everybody for joining today and participating. This is the second time we've done this introduction to counsel. And after the first one, it occurred to us afterwards to contact everybody because this session today is about counsel, but to contact everybody and ask if people would like to participate in an actual counsel, which is a little longer, maybe 90 minutes. And so we will send you an email following today and ask you the question if you'd be interested in coming together perhaps as this group one time and experiencing doing counsel ourselves. So watch your email for that. Anyone else here before we close? Go, was that your hand or are you just waving?
No, I must say, I try to be silent, but it's important to express gratitude for this meeting and mainly for my teacher, Barbara, and for you, Jeff, to make it possible. And I feel that without counsel, it was impossible to dare with the situations at the streets, in the retreats, and also mainly in Auschwitz-Birkenau. In this sense, I believe that counsel is a way to coming back to my full humanity. And now I was thinking, it's very interesting because kanzeon or kanon in Japanese is this one that can hear the suffering of the world. So kan is to listen. And so maybe we are just developing a method to embody the presence of the compassion, as Barbara said. So thank you so much for this meeting and for this family, this community that sometimes seems impossible to exist, Zen Peacemaker International and Zen Peacemaker Order for decades holding this space and this energy of wisdom and compassion in this world. So it's a blessing to be with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cole.
Barbara, we just have a couple of minutes left. Is there anything you'd like to say before we close today?
Yeah, of course. It's wonderful to see your faces all. Thank you for listening, and I hope to see you in one of the councils or in one of our retreats. And I wish you all the best. And I would love to dedicate this teaching. It was not a council, but we can dedicate it to your lives and your relations. May you all be well and happy and have a good life.